Hi, everyone. Ed Bixby here from the Global Green Burial Alliance, and this is Spotlight Now. Today, I am sitting here with Taras Luchak. Taras is the chair of Memorial Woodland of Manitoba Incorporated. Taras is currently retired. He's been working on this project for a number of years and first put pen to paper with the conceptual format in 2016. A former lawyer with 40 years of experience consulting with and working for a variety of nonprofit organizations, associations, and regulatory bodies in the areas of business development, real estate, liability insurance, construction, health, profession, regulation, sector training, entertainment, and culture. Taras has a history of making things happen, especially with endeavors. We respect to innovate and create Taras. He says he wants to be a tree in his next life, and that's exactly what he plans on doing with Memorial Woodland. So welcome, Taras.
Thank you very much, Ed. We, again, first off, we greatly appreciate the opportunity to become part of the Global Alliance. It's certainly going to assist us in marketing this project.
Well, we appreciate that, Taras, and we'll do the best that we can do to get the word out for you. So tell us a little bit about Memorial Woodland and what its mission and your vision for the property is.
Okay, and the first thing I'd probably say is the Memorial Woodland is it's a greener project. We have to be very careful with our language because what's involved in our project is cremation, whether it be aquamation or water cremation or true cremation. So it's certainly not a true green burial, although that's something that we might get to it at some time. Basically, what it is that we're going to incorporate the scattering of ashes or cremated remains of individuals and basically plant a tree on top. So we are creating an 18-acre dedicated forest where individuals will have their remains and their individual trees. There will be natural pathways, a couple of water features, some picnic sites. So this is going to be a cross between a city park and a forest. We certainly don't want it to look like a cemetery. We want people to use this as a public park, as a public amenity, and that's what this project is all about.
Sounds wonderful, and we do appreciate and respect the fact that it is a greener option. We have to embrace all the options, and it sounds like a wonderful endeavor, in particular. So, what is the projected timeline for creating this space and serving your community?
Okay, so we have conditionally acquired a 18-acre parcel of land in the rural municipality of Broken Head. It's about 30 miles outside, about 30 minutes outside of the perimeter of the city of Winnipeg. When I say conditionally acquired, we want to make sure that this project is sustainable before we commence. Our thought is, if I'm a consumer, what I need to know is somebody looking after this thing 50 years from now? And so, which is why we've created first off, a charitable organization. So there's not just one face behind this. It's a sustainable organization. But we also want to make sure that 50 years from now, there is a fund in place, a sustainability fund or a capital fund, which is sufficient so that there will be maintenance in perpetuity of this site. So what we've done is we've commenced a marketing campaign. We've gone out to the public. We've done tons of media, which is great. Some great reception by the public. Every time we do a media appearance, we track the hits on the website, and we had 150 page views per day after each one of our media appearances. So people are starting to learn about this project. It is certainly unique. People need to think about it before they commit to it. So what we've done for ourselves is we've set a target date of May the 1st. So as we're hoping that we can find 100 individuals who are prepared to commit to participate in this project. And if and when we hit that number, we will declare the project as a go and actually commence construction of the site. So if things go well in this spring, we will begin because right now it's bare land. Right now, what we're dealing with is cropped land, so we have to convert it. We're going to convert it to a mixture of park, tall prairie grass ecosystem. We will start with the planting of perimeter trees, planting of individual trees, putting in the amenities. So with luck, we will start this process in this spring. I think our challenge is, while many people have expressed interest in the project, so far we've got 30 of our 100 commitments. So we're not where we want to be. So again, we're trying to get the word out and trying to get people to commit to this project. I think that there certainly are 100 people who are willing to do this. But like I said before, it's new, and when people hear about it, it takes time for them to absorb in order before they're prepared to commit financially to this project.
Right, absolutely. But I will tell you this, Taras. Just from my own experience, uh, if you build it, they will come. You do have the client base. There's no doubt about it. And as they become more familiar with your project, there's no doubt in my mind that you guys will be successful with it. So that's, to me, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that you guys will do well with this. Once it does, actually get started, I know you're creating this community green space. What opportunities do you foresee when it comes to the engagement impact outside of, let's say, the memorialization, but as that green space, for the community to enjoy,
Well,
which I think is really important.
yeah, sorry. The location is very interesting because it's very close to an existing small town called Tyndall, Manitoba. It is on the way to an area of the province called the White Shell, where a lot of cottagers go. So it's hopefully going to become a destination. It could become a picnic spot. It could be just a park, but it's also very close to something called the Trans-Canada Trail. And the Trans-Canada Trail is a project where theoretically you can walk from Victoria to Newfoundland along a connected trail. Coincidentally, it is very close to where our land is adjacent. So it is very likely that our project will actually become part of this Trans-Canada Trail. Certainly in the winter, people will use it for cross-country skiing. In the summer, people will use it as a park. That's what we've envisioned. We wanted to find something that like I say, wasn't going to be a cemetery. I want my grandkids to come to this park, have a picnic, and visit Grandpa the tree. That's what we had in mind. The surprising thing was when I first sort of came up. I hesitate to say came up with this idea. Like I was shocked to think that this was actually unique when I first started thinking about this in 2015. And I started looking, online for was there something similar, and I was very surprised to find that there really was not. When I approached local cemeteries and basically said, can I do this in your cemetery? Can I basically become a tree in your cemetery? And the answer was no. So not taking no for an answer, I started collecting like-minded individuals and started putting pen to paper, and here we are. The reaction from the traditional cemeteries has been mixed. It's ranged from indifferent to hostile. I recognize that this is a different. It is something completely different in something outside of their traditional income stream. But we've still tried to interact with funeral directors, with other individuals. We actually have a really good relationship. You had another spotlight with Dr. Tricia Penner, a local individual. She's been working on an actual true green cemetery space. And quite surprisingly, in our province, there is not a dedicated green cemetery. You can have a green burial in a traditional cemetery, but there is not a dedicated space. So Tricia and I have sort of been working hand in hand. Our projects are different, but very similar. So she's been looking for land. We've been swapping marketing ideas. I mean, there is a possibility that sometime in the future we may actually combine projects and welcome a true green cemetery component to what it is that we're doing. Just that with the regulations in Manitoba, uh, what we're talking about is a form of scattering of cremated remains, which takes us outside of formal regulation under the Cemeteries Act. So what we're doing is not a cemetery. What Trish would be doing with green burial is a true cemetery. So we're proceeding with our project. At some point, if we can license and regulate our site as a true green burial site, we'll combine the projects, which would really make things very interesting. So one concept is that you could be buried in the true green burial fashion with a tree planted on top. So there's all kinds of possibilities and all kinds of options that we're looking to sometime in the future.
Well, and that sounds like a wonderful collaboration. I mean, ultimately, what everyone is looking for when they're looking for an option like this is a place that feels good, that brings back good memories and maybe embodies the spirit of the individual, the loved one that lays to rest there. So, I think that sounds wonderful, and I know, again, I know that you will be successful. Uh, the one question I'd have for you is, of course, we know of different types of forms of cremation. We've got flame based, and we've got natural organic reduction and water cremation. Currently, in your province, does are people offering natural organic reduction and aquamation, or are
Uh,
those things that are not legalized?
Unfortunately, well, it's not so much that it's a process, and the process is very slow. There are at least two companies who are hoping to offer water-based or cremation or aquamation in Manitoba. It's not currently offered in Manitoba. I believe it might be offered for pets, but not for humans. One of our challenges is that our particular government, there is not a really a dedicated bureaucracy dealing with this issue. I mean, there was something called the Funeral Board of Manitoba, which was dissolved 5 or 6 years ago, and basically anything to do with our projects, our green projects and cemeteries, is now sitting on the desk of one bureaucrat somewhere, in an office, dealing with consumer and corporate affairs. So there isn't the staff from the regulatory side to move these things ahead. So that's probably the biggest challenge we have, is that there's a couple of groups who are very eager to offer water cremation and aquamation in Manitoba, but we're sort of held up by limitations in terms of government and government resources. So that's coming, but we've been saying that for 2 or 3 years now and haven't seen a lot of progress. But if you're an optimist, yeah, it's coming. We certainly don't have anything in the way of human composting or anything. We haven't gone beyond cremation for the time being, and we certainly recognize that
Right,
there's environmental consequences to cremation, but that's what we're dealing with at the moment. Hopefully, we will
right.
get to the point where there's water cremation, aquamation, or even true green burial.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, the one thing that people have to understand watching this is that, not only is cremation obviously a very large, now actually superseding, actual traditional burials itself, but there's so many people who possess the cremated remains of loved ones from the past, and they've never been able to celebrate or memorialize them. And I've got to say this because it's absolutely true. You're ahead of the curve, and I love that, because who wouldn't want to be, with the concept. But ultimately, imagine if every person were to plant a living memorial, what the impact on the world's environment would be just in general, whether it be a burial or a cremated remains. It really doesn't make much of a difference. So you're offering that opportunity. And I think that is, you guys should really be commended for that, because you're creating a wonderful community space, memorializing loved ones, and also, with the environment in mind. So I
Yeah,
think it's great.
and one of the things that we certainly had in mind, and I personally had in mind because of my ego, is I wanted to have some kind of legacy, and So we will allow, unlike the true green burial concept, we will allow a small, flat, discrete memorial marker next to the tree. One of the ideas might be is there could be a QR code on there, and you scan it, and it could take you to a slideshow about you, or a video of you speaking, or whatever. I mean, we've got that technology now. Uh, so that there is some form of legacy. There's somewhere, as I mentioned, that people can visit, they can memorialize, they can remember their loved ones. That was very important to me personally, sort of when coming up with this project. And I sort of meekly say come up with it, but surely it's not a unique idea, and yet it's certainly unique here. It's not something that anybody has done, and it's something that we want to pursue. And in terms of the trees, we're being very careful with our arborists. We're going to use we've suggested a list of about 22 different varieties of trees that would be able to survive in this climate, and with those soil conditions. So we're trying to be very careful in how we set this thing up and make sure the canopies are proper. We want to do this in the right way. We want to make sure that the trees have an opportunity to survive. We also understand that there's obviously a pH balance when you're dealing with cremated remains. We will deal with it. We'll do the appropriate mulching and mixing so that the trees succeed.
Absolutely. No, it really is about the process, and following the process, and it will most certainly succeed. So that would bring me to a question, and you know, obviously this was a thought at one point. That's where everything comes from. So, what inspired you to embark upon this project personally? Was it the idea of creating that legacy or a new space? Tell us a little bit about your vision.
I mean, it's yeah, ego driven. I mean, I just was not fond of the thought of being pumped full of chemicals and stuck in the ground and in a coffin. It would, uh, I thought, why not recycle my atoms? And this just seemed like the best way to recycle yourself in one of the most natural ways possible. On the one hand, wanted it to be very environmentally friendly, but the flip side is, like I say, I've got an ego, want a legacy, I want to leave some kind of mark, and that's where the idea of the tree and the marker came in. It was a personal vision, and a lot of people thought I was crazy, and uh, but like I say, when people think about it, a lot of people love this idea. And I hope that you're right. I hope that we have a sufficient number of people. That the thing about build it and they will come, because it is so unique, so unique. We're trying to be cautious, because we don't want to build something with 20 trees and find out that we don't have the manpower or the financial resources to look after those trees 50 years from now. That's why we're being hesitant. And again, I know it's sort of like a catch-22. Like, people will jump in if they know it's solid. We're not prepared to really build until we know that we've got the people.
Right.
It's an exercise.
No, absolutely. And again, and I can tell you, at least from my experience here in United States, that, we would not personally have expanded like we have if it hadn't been for the participation of the Tree of Life or cremation customer. I mean, they're a very large part of our business. Whether or not people, want to agree with it, you have to accept the fact that the final disposition portion of it, that is making a difference. It is making an environmental impact, and we can't ignore that. So I think it's a lovely idea. I think you guys will do really well. If there's anything we can do here at the Global Green Burial Alliance, we certainly would love to be able to help you. And I always love to ask this final question. So when, in your mind's eye, where would you like to see this project? Let's say 10 years in the future. How would you like to see your project at Memorial Woodland?
Well, yeah, in a perfect world, and that's one of the things, because we're talking about planting 6 to 8 foot trees. In the beginning, it's not going to look much like a forest, but 10 years from now, we're on our way to really having a beautiful established forest. Like I said, with picnic site, a site that people are going to, uh, not necessarily to visit a loved one, but just a place to be, a natural place to be. That's what I'd like to see in 10 years. I'd like to see this thing thrive, and perhaps additional locations if this thing really does take off. Like one thing I've always said is that the traditional market, especially companies that own cemeteries, have been very reluctant to entertain this thought. Uh, you know, if we are successful, there may be copycats, which is terrific. There may be others that offer this option. If they do, fantastic. That I'd love to see this idea spread.
Absolutely. You are spot on with that. With the more participation, that's just complements, the people who laid the groundwork. So there's no doubt in my mind that you'll be successful. For our viewers, you can find more information about Taras at Memorial Woodland, www.memorialwoodland.com.
That's
Is that
actually
correct, Taras?
.ca actually.
Oh, .ca. I apologize.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
and
it's
yes, support the project. Get involved. I hope that we can help you, and please keep us posted as to your progress. And congratulations. Thanks, Taras. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Ed. Again, we really appreciate this opportunity because it certainly will be helpful to get the word out. We are a charitable organization. We have welcome participation by way of donations as well as participation. Anything will help us get this thing built. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. All right, folks. Ed Bixby here from Spotlight Now and the Global Green Burial Alliance. Please do consider supporting Taras's project. It's a worthy one. And see you at the next Spotlight.
Thank you, Ed.